Good day. You are listening to the Bloomin Bodhisattvas podcast, brought to you by the Rissho Kosei-kai Dharma Center in Oklahoma City. I'm James.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Karin.
And we're
The Bloomin Bodhisattvas.
Okay, so today we're going to be going back through the 12-link chain of dependent origination, but this time we're going to do inner causation, whereas last time we did outer causation. So let's recap. Yes. So outer causation is about how you go from one lifetime to the next through reincarnation. And so let's go through the 12 links in the chain. So the first one are what you bring into to this life, and that is ignorance and actions. And then that forms consciousness, name and form, the 6 entrances, contact, sensation, and then those lead to craving and clinging and existence. And then those go forth into the next birth, old age, and death. And the cycle goes over and over and over again. Now,
I like how 2 of the 12 links are just 2 things, making it technically a 14-link chain.
I knew you were going to count all of that. Are
Yeah,
you
I
sure?
knew I was.
There's 2 things? Oh, yeah, old age and
Old
death.
age and death, and
Old age and death, that seems like they're really just trying to just cram things together to make it
name
equal
and
12.
form.
Yes, but name and form actually have one word called namarupa. But so, as I'm sure you guys have all been able to figure out, Buddhism loves lists. Lists and lists.
And they love making their lists inconsistent. Inconsistent.
Inconsistent.
Sometimes I do believe that they're looking for a good round number there when maybe, it could just be an odd number and that would be okay.
14's a fine number.
Oh, 7 might not be lucky. Who knows? But one of the things you should know is that once they do a list, they like to try to apply it to as many different things as possible. And for a couple of reasons. One, they're showing that, phenomena in this, level, macro or micro level, also works the same at another level. And for causation, it means that the ways that things work through cause and effect in the outer world and through our lifetimes also work within our minds. And that is what inner causation is about. And so inner causation is going to break down the components of a single moment of thought and kind of blow it up into a bunch of little steps. Why? So that you can know your own mind. And that's really one of the points of Buddhism, is to really, really be in the moment. But what does that mean? Everybody says be in the moment, but what does that mean?
Being aware.
Yes, and being aware of what, though?
Your thoughts and the world around you.
Yes, and how they interact with each other.
They're often the same thing.
Right, and so does that mean you get so swept up into your own mind that you completely become unaware of the world as it goes past you, as you're in this wonderful meditative trance state? No, in fact, it is being more keenly aware of the world around you. And so Buddhism is using all of these little lists in order to give us a little toolbox to be able to break down our own state of mind into its little component parts so that we can be aware of them and tune them back into the Dharma. Yes.
Yeah. Tuning back in.
All right. So in inner causation, even though you're looking at a moment of thought, still there's a past that leads up to that moment of thought. There's a present in that moment of thought. There's the effect that has, and then a future that comes about because of it. And so just like with outer causation, we're going to start with the causes from the past. And like everything, it starts with ignorance. So let's hear a quote from Nuano about ignorance.
Ignorance is failure to know universal truth, the truth of dependent origination. This is the cause of all delusion. Ignorance creates such a turbid state of mind that we cannot see the real state of things. Originally, we were free beings, united with the great life of the universe. However, when we take on a body, we are so attached to our separate existence that we cannot see the real state of all things. Thus, we cling to forms. This is a fundamental characteristic of all existence, living or non-living.
Okay. So, how'd you guys like that word turbid?
It's interesting. I like it.
Reminds me of
It's fun to
waters.
say.
Turbid waters.
Turbid waters.
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's like a liquid that has a bunch of particulate matter in it, and it's all cloudy. And so that's kind of our mind with ignorance. It's all cloudy, and we can't see what's really there because of the fog that we have going on. So what did you guys think about that quote? What do you take away from it?
It's just ignorance clouds our mind so much that it blinds us to everything else is kind of what I got from that.
Nice. So what do you think about that line there that where he says we were all free beings united with the great life of the universe? What does that mean?
I'm thinking that's like our, at least in Buddhism mythology, I suppose is the way to put it. It's like that's where we originated from, where our souls kind of came from.
Sure.
Even if souls aren't necessarily what is passed down through reincarnation. It's like we were all part of the big vastness of the universe, the true interconnectedness of all things.
And that's exactly what it's saying. And he kind of looked at that. He called that the great life force of the universe. Very similar to, the Tao in Taoism or the Force in Star Wars. Very, very similar. I look at it as a big, ocean of light, and we're all just kind of, a solidification of that light for a moment. But we forget that because when we're born into a human body, so we forget the three seals. And that we are not separate. Anyway, so
we should harness the power of this knowledge and use it to throw rocks at people?
Because that's what seals do?
No, that's the Force.
Oh, because that's what Yoda does.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yes, it does.
Guys, we should become pure of mind.
Yes, so that we could use telekinesis.
To throw rocks at people.
And Jedi mind tricks. Come on.
Yes, that's the whole point of Buddhism is Jedi mind tricks.
Will we get a lightsaber if we're good at this?
I want a purple one.
I
Don't
also
we
want
all?
a purple one.
Yeah.
We could be matching purple lightsabers.
So,
Yes.
yeah, clinging and attachment, it clouds our thinking.
Yes.
We don't see clearly when we're, fixed on something.
Yeah, in Buddhism, and this whole thing is going to break that whole chain of events down. So it's not just about, ignorance is about attachment. Well, exactly what's going on in a moment of thought that kind of leads to attachment and what damage does that do? And so the reason it concentrates on the past is because anytime we go into a moment, we're not entering that moment just with a completely open and pure mind. We have baggage from the past that is going to accumulate, and we talk about that in terms of karma. So the next link in the chain is called action, and karma means action. And so karma is what do we bring from our past into this moment. And so let's talk about that. So we have different words for this. So one of those phrases is like emotional baggage. What does that mean, and how has that worked for you guys?
I mean, when I think of emotional baggage, I just think of trauma.
Okay, that's one thing, but trauma's a little bit more specific. Trauma, and we can talk about that now. Trauma is when something triggers you. All right, and so give me an example of like a trigger of like something that might trigger just an instinctual emotional reaction.
Loud noises.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I still to this day get triggered by doors slamming.
Oh, God, same.
Yeah, and even though I know that the things that had happened in the past are not going to happen, I still get triggered by that. And that kind of conditioning, it's instinctual, it's automatic, it's involuntary. Those things are really hard to overcome.
That's why I apologize every time I accidentally slam a door, because it surprises me too. And I'm just like, no, I didn't mean to do that. It was just gravity.
Yeah, me too. When the air conditioner just happened to make the door slam harder than it usually does. That's the kind of thing. So what else do we call emotional baggage?
Mental illness, maybe?
Well, that's more a state of mind.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I think fairly you could talk about that. Mental illness is, I mean, especially if it's something that happened due to events in your life, but also if you have a genetic predisposition towards mental illness, whatever that happens to be, you could say that's karma too, coming in from past lives. But really here we're talking about things that have sort of happened in this life, just in the past that you're kind of bringing into this moment.
When we carry around guilt
Yes.
and regret, and no, we can't escape our actions. That's our karma. But as far as emotional baggage, we can't change the past, but we can change, the grip that the past has on us.
Exactly. And so a lot of these times, these things are habits that happen because we had things that happened in the past. And when you go into a similar situation, you have this sort of nagging feeling that it's going to happen all over again. And so you approach that situation with this predisposition to be ready to react. And it's a defense mechanism. It's there to protect you. But unfortunately, what happens is that you're treating a new situation like an old situation, and the two are really different. So if you were really, dumped by somebody and it was really, really hard, then when you go into a new relationship, there's part of you that's going to remember that pain and is going to be defensive and, on edge because you're almost waiting for that tragedy to happen again. All right, so there are also things that we are conditioned to do by biology and by culture. For example, sugar. We are absolutely programmed to love sugar and to be attracted to it. And that is something that goes way, way back. And so that's going to give us a predisposition towards anything that's sweet, whether it's good for us or not, right?
And oftentimes it's not.
Oftentimes it is not. Enough is enough. And then
High fructose corn syrup.
it's in everything.
It's in my blood.
It's in my bloodstream.
Along with the microplastics.
Yes. Which who knows what they're doing to our consciousness. So there's also cultural stuff that we get sort of programmed by just because we were raised here in America and we grew up watching, Sesame Street or, listening to our parents or being around certain kinds of foods and certain kinds of customs. And those all sort of condition us to approach every given moment with all that stuff that's in us already. And all of those things are going to kind of cloud our mind, and we're going to bring all of that into whatever we're encountering in this moment. All right, questions? Okay. Thoughts?
Just that what we consume isn't just physical.
Yes. Yeah, we consume information, we consume entertainment, and we consume preferences and norms and values, and all of those things are going to have a big impact on our thoughts. Okay, so that's all the stuff that kind of comes from the past into the present. And so now we're going to take the present moment and break it down into little bitty parts. so that we can be more aware of all little things going on with how our mind processes a moment. All right, so the first thing Buddhism calls it is consciousness. And so we use the word consciousness as kind of this all-encompassing, word for, our entire state of mind. But really, in this case, it means something very specific. It's just basic, immediate awareness of the environment. You are aware that there's something going on out there. And so at that point, the brain has not started processing it. And this is kind of good to know because it's almost this pure, simple awareness of what's going on around you. But what is there is all the stuff we were talking about before from the past. It's colored by the past. And so it's constantly shifting and changing, but you can just hold on to it for a minute and just go, here's my awareness without all the other stuff that's going to then color it, and I'm going to make all this other stuff out of it. I'm just going to keep it pure awareness now and just be sort of aware of that. So this awareness is also an awareness of ignorance. Okay, at that point, am I coming into this moment from a point of view of ignorance or from a point of view of enlightenment? Am I going to try to shift towards the Dharma, or am I going to continue my clinging ways and all of that? So all of this is there to give you moments to sort of shift your consciousness to make it more in tune with how the Dharma works. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So once that kind of pure awareness happens, then all of the stuff that is incorporated into your mind and body come into the that moment of awareness, and it's called name and form, or nama-rupa. So we talked about this last time, and so name is just sort of a shortcut. Nama means all the different mental processes, and then form is the physical aspects of yourself. And so for us, what this means is that it's an awareness that mind and body are connected, and that you are embodied and your thoughts are embodied. You're not just consciousness floating around. Your senses, your body awareness is all part of this moment. And so let's look at the mind-body connection. In fact, we call it sort of the mind-body complex. And so in what ways can you think of, does your body affect your mind?
When I have panic attacks, usually it's a physical reaction before it's a mental reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll come in contact with a stimuli and I'll be like, oh, it's fine. I'm fine. Like, that's not something that I need to worry about. But then my body will start freaking out, and then I'll start freaking out mentally too.
Yeah, and that's really common with panic attacks. Like when you start feeling that accelerated heartbeat, I get kind of this real chest tightness. What do you feel like when it's coming on?
Like, it's a lot of like my throat and mouth go dry.
Yeah.
Like my throat starts feeling really tight, and like I'm gonna gag almost, and then like my stomach feels really, really tight.
Yeah.
And like I feel tingly all over, and like I'm a lot lighter than I usually am.
Yeah, and then maybe followed by dissociation and that sort of stuff. Yes, exactly. And so, it's funny because, it's like the body sort of signals it, and then it's almost like you lose your body, as a kind of defense mechanism. And it's really good to know that your body does that, because that gives you like a little moment to go, oh, something's not right, and I maybe need to get out of this situation. Okay, cool. Other examples of body-mind connection.
Sometimes when I get like stomach cramps, especially out of nowhere when I'm like not expecting it, my brain will then react to it like, oh no, we're dying. We're dying now. This is what death feels like. And I'm like, it's not even that bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The body's really powerful, and its hold on the mind is very powerful too. Karin, what do you think?
Oh, I think about Alex's reference to the reptilian brain, the fight,
Yes.
flight, or freeze, mode that we get into when we don't feel safe in a situation or in an environment.
Right. And that comes from the body as well. And literally, it's like, all of these neurotransmitters and hormones go off to like send you into, kind of this heightened state of either fight, flight, or freeze. It's very powerful. But even on a much simpler level, I mean, hunger can affect your thought processes, right?
You know what
just
they say, never go shopping when you're hungry.
yeah, and just there's we even have little words for it, like being hangry, or just sort of foggy headed if you don't have enough sleep, or if you're really sad, you feel it in your body, right? Depression, how does that feel in your body? Like depression?
Heavy.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it feels like you're kind of underwater and somebody turned up gravity and everything just takes more effort to do than it normally would. So, the understanding that your body comes into that moment is really powerful awareness. Now, Namarupa has to do with this thing called the five skandhas, which are, here I have them written down, form, sensations, perceptions, mental formation, and consciousness, but we're not going to get into all that today. Just know that you can even take this one link in the chain that's actually got two things, and then you can break those into five things.
That's great. I really love how concise and normal these lists are.
Yes, they are. All right.
This is really nice. I like it a lot.
And then, so that brings us to the next one, which is the 6 entrances.
Do you want to list the 6 entrances, Jocelyn?
Sure. 6 entrances are the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind.
And that's exactly it. So you need to be aware as you are interacting with the environment that it is going through those senses. You can't yawn on the podcast.
The yawn cast.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Okay, take a breath. So all this is saying is that we are interacting with our senses in every moment. And so here are the things in the environment. You are consciously aware of them. You have a body. The body has senses that allow different kinds of information from the environment to come through. And so you just simply need to know how all that works. That your eyes are only sort of seeing certain kinds of light, and your ears only hearing certain kinds of sounds, and your body is only feeling certain kinds of sensations of touch or hot or cold. And the same with your nose and your tongue, that they're just sort of engineered to sense things in certain ways. And that's the kind of awareness we're talking about.
We don't got those mantis shrimp colors.
No, we don't. And we can't smell as much as the dog does.
Or hear as much as the dog does. Or taste water in the same way the dog does.
I know. Dogs are just superior in so many ways.
I'm surprised she hasn't started barking yet.
So, the mind, as one of the senses here, is simply integrating all of the other senses together. And it's also giving you this real basic sort of self-awareness. And so the five senses integrate with your body. And so because they're coming through parts of your body and your body's processing them in a certain way. And so in psychology, we call this the difference between sensation and perception. So, kiddo, AP psychology student, what's the difference between sensation and perception?
I'm a sociology student now.
Good, it's a great field, but
I mean, sensation is like kind of the facts of what you're immediately experiencing, right? Where it's like kind of 5 senses related, and perception is then how your mind interprets those.
exactly.
Where it's like you smell something, that is a fact, but then it processes what you smell and how that makes you feel. Like a fact is you're smelling fresh baked cookies. Perception is that smells nice.
Exactly. And so Buddhism does exactly the same thing, which again shows that Buddhism was aware of modern psychology long before it was invented.
You could say it is modern psychology.
You kind of could say they stole the whole thing, but
But from who?
exactly. So contact. All right, so let me tell you about contact because it's also sensation meets perception. So contact is the whole process of the light coming in, striking your eyes and being processed by your eyeballs, being turned into brain signals, and then going to your visual cortex and activating that part of your brain. All of that combined is contact. So why would you need to know all this? How does this help you?
It's fun. It's fun to know. I don't know. I think it's neat to know that our brain kind of does that like in a matter of microseconds.
Yes.
You know, like less than we can take to like perceive it. It's happening all the time, and like the delay between the light hitting our eyes and going into our visual cortex is like so little time that we can't perceive it. I think that's real neat.
And that Buddhism would like take this split microsecond thing and like blow it up into a whole step in this process is pretty amazing, actually. So these are kind of the conditions for cognition,
The cognitions.
if you will.
No,
And-
you have to.
Yes. And so all that means is that, you know, it's not stuff going outside. It's not stuff going on inside. It's all of it combined together that makes this moment of thought happen. Okay. And so, and people make a big deal of like, you know, where is awareness? Is it subjective reality? Is it objective reality? Well, it's both at the same time. And that's what Buddhism says. So the last of the, you know, kind of links in the, you know, the causes in the present is what Buddhism calls sensation, but really it's kind of this really simple emotional sensation. And so you get stuff coming in from the senses, it gets processed by your brain, and then you have just kind of these very simple instinctual kind of preferences, likes, dislikes, and, you know, and they can kind of be really simple feelings of like happiness or, you know, sadness, but it's really just like pleasure or pain. And of course, those things are colored by the past and by culture as well. But give me some examples of just real simple emotional sensation.
Hot and cold.
All right. So how does that lead to emotional reaction?
If it's too cold, we're like, a lot of times in my mind, I think it's colder than it is just because it's cold.
Yeah.
Or hotter than it is just because it just, our mind, that's where my mind goes.
Yeah, and we're biologically programmed to have these preferences. I mean, when it dips below a certain level, we get uncomfortable, just like when it's too hot. But, you know, I also think of like, you know, you kind of go out into the sun and the sunlight kind of feels good, and I'm not really thinking. I don't have associations to sunlight. It's just kind of this real simple feeling of pleasure of just feeling the sun. All right, what else can you guys think of?
Light and dark.
Okay, so give me examples of how you, emotionally you would have an instinctual reaction to light and dark.
Well, when it's too bright, you can't see and it hurts your eyes.
Ouch, that's true.
When it's too dark, you can't see and it hurts your eyes.
That's good. All right. Now you were talking about like seeing something maybe out of the corner of your eye. Like what would that be like?
Like you can be moving or something like that, or you're aware of the fact that you're in a house alone, and you see a dark figure out of the corner of your eye standing behind something. Immediately, you're like kind of jump scares you, and you look around, nothing's actually there, or you know it's a coat hanger or a jacket or something hanging on something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And those are all really biological. And of course, you know, if you've been watching a lot of scary movies, then it's going to definitely enhance
Freak
that.
you out a little bit.
If
Yeah.
I leave my room 5 nights at Freddy's, it's gonna get me.
Yes. Oh, and
Chica's gonna eat me.
that's the whole purpose of Five Nights at Freddy's is to
It's
you know,
to
play
see-
upon that.
It's to scare me in elementary school.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to move into effects in the present. And so the big one that's really going to start kind of solidifying all this is craving.
Yay!
So when you hear the word craving, what does it bring to mind?
I want food.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
I
one.
want to taste something.
Yeah.
I want something sweet. I often have like sweet tooth cravings.
Yeah.
I often crave pickles.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Something salty.
What do you crave, Karen?
Well, I like sweet stuff too,
Yeah.
with the best of them. But like, I think of addiction.
Yeah, and that's when it really becomes extremely strong. And you can be addicted to the little things, and craving is where, these really simple emotions kind of intensify into something that really starts driving you. You feel these really strong waves of wanting something. And it could be wanting to grab something. It could be also wanting to push something away. So revulsion is a kind of craving. All right. And so here's how it works. So the sensation, emotional sensation of like pleasure and pain, then kind of strengthens into love and hate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And this is where it becomes really powerful emotionally. All right. And so when this happens, it leads to attachment. And this is where you get attachment. How do you become enlightened? How do you get peace of mind? By avoiding attachment. Well, here it is. Attachment comes from craving. And then when it gets really bad, it could be obsession. All right. So, have you guys ever been obsessed?
With a TV show, yeah.
Like what?
Stranger Things. And
Oh,
Arcane.
Yeah. Okay. That's
You
good.
remember when I watched My Little Pony?
Oh, and your room has so many little pony
I
plushies.
can't bear to get rid of them.
You're so real.
It
I
is,
like
yeah.
I gotta keep them on my shelf. They deserve it. They were the real ones. They were with me for the hard times.
Yes, and as a parent, of course, I enabled you and your obsession with My Little Ponies.
It's a harmless obsession.
It is, until you run out of space in your room.
More shelves.
I think of slot machines.
Oh, there you go.
Gambling.
There has to be some sort of payoff.
Yeah.
Whether it's an actual slot machine. I mean, it's like I see a lot of things as, that function.
Yes.
Where we keep, pursuing whatever it is that we're craving in hopes of a payoff.
Yeah, and I think it's really good to note that, we do live in an economic system that plays off of craving, that creates it and reinforces it in order to make money. All right, so craving is symbolized by the hungry ghost, so otherwise known as pretas. And so I'm sure you've seen pictures of hungry ghosts, and we'll talk about the 6 realms, the 10 realms, and all that sort of stuff. But
You viewers at home, Google it.
yes, and
This
so
is a
what
podcast. We can't show visuals.
I know. Maybe we'll have that be our logo for this episode. And so they
Have it upload around Halloween.
So they've got really, like, you can see their ribs and their stomachs are distended, the way you get.
Unhinged jaw.
And they just want more and more and more, and they can just eat and eat or consume whatever it happens to be, and they're never satisfied. It kind of sounds like capitalism a little bit. But that's
Kind
what
of sounds
symbolizes.
like Frankie when we pet her.
I know. And and cats are the same way too. It's like you can just pet them 24/7 and they'll never, ever, and they'll whine the minute you step up.
I don't know. Victor's very particular.
Yes. So there are types of craving. And then we can think of examples of, when we've been sort of consumed by them. So one of those is where, you're craving things of the senses. All right. So give me an example of any of the senses and, how craving might apply to that.
I have no. Go ahead.
No,
You go.
no,
You go.
okay.
You go.
When I was younger, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function without listening to music while doing it. I constantly wanted to listen to music all the time. I constantly had an earbud in.
Yeah.
Constantly had headphones on.
Yeah. I remember that. Mm-hmm. What about you, Alex?
So there's a candle aisle at work.
Oh no.
And sometimes my shifts get really, really boring. we have some very big slow periods, and I've kind of like finished up most of the big things I have to do. So sometimes I just go in there and I smell candles for a little bit.
Oh, okay, that seems relatively harmless, but it's a good example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like when I'm bored, it's like I crave those funky scents.
What about you, Karin? What do you crave?
Oh, lately,
Yeah.
fountain pens.
You have a fountain pen obsession?
I
No.
do. It's a new obsession.
That's
Wow.
very you.
It's
I don't mean that negatively. That's just very you.
You can draw with them. You can write with them
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
expression. And
Heard they're very smooth.
yeah.
Yeah.
just-
Cheap pens are no good. You're onto something there.
Well, okay, since we're onto this, there's a ancient Buddhist calligrapher that said that the brush, and of course in the East, they refer to painting as drawing, drawing with a paintbrush, and the brush is an extension of your hand, which it works in tandem with your mind, and the brush don't lie.
I like that. That's really nice.
So
That's cute.
I feel like, at least it's a beautiful obsession, but it's still a rabbit hole. It's still still craving. It's still
Yeah, so I mean, we've covered a lot of senses here, so I'll cover the mind. All right, so craving of the mind. I definitely get into places where I need to know things, and I need to really start looking for things. And if I'm in a point where I've just got like time on my hands, and even if there's not something to do, I have to be kind of lost in thought. I have to be thinking about something and figuring out what's the next puzzle I need to try to solve. What's the next thing I need to figure out? What's a gap in my knowledge that I need to clear? And I've been kind of, that has been part of my life for a long, long time.
The curse of the intellectual.
It kind of is. It certainly can be. And it's hard to relax sometimes because I'm constantly trying to think of the next thought.
I kind of have something that's like opposite of that for craving of the mind. I don't want to know things a lot, and so to escape that, with anxiety, you're just constantly thinking all the time, and it's like with me, I have a fear of sickness and stuff, so I'm constantly looking up, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? And constantly just intaking all this knowledge to, calm my anxiety. But what I crave a lot of the time when I'm just my day-to-day life is to forget all that and just to push it all away and disassociate, listen to music and think of stories or, putting myself in different scenarios and not that don't have anything to do with that, just to kind of escape that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of us really struggle with just trying to empty our minds out. It's a lot harder than it sounds. All right, so that's one. Now, number two is a real obvious one, sensual desires. And so the two big ones, of course, are food and sex. And we live in a culture that is just bombarded by food and sex, and sometimes together. And, where it is really out there, if we didn't have enough craving ourselves, that we're being fed things to crave all the time.
That reminds me. So last night I was driving home and I was behind this car, not a huge car, like an SUV, I guess. I don't know what cars are. And instead of like a tint, they had one of those like tints that's like an image on the back of their back window.
Yeah.
It was like a model, I think. It was like, a classically attractive woman with her boobs out, kind of, cleavage, with the American flag in the background. And it was the most ridiculous thing I think I've seen in a very long time.
Well, and craving for, you could look at patriotism as a kind of craving too, when it gets a little bit too obsessive, for sure.
Patriotism.
Yeah. Okay. So when patriotism goes over the line, we call it jingoism. I forget where that comes from.
That's good. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. Jingoism. All right, so we
word.
could go down that rabbit hole for a long time, but we know sensual desires, they're everywhere, and people are definitely trying to stoke those for us.
Would violence count as a sensual desire?
You know, I think it could absolutely be that way for sure.
Because I feel like we also live in a culture of almost extreme violence at times,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
football, warmongering,
yeah. Every video game or anime ever.
very us versus them mentality that we've. It's people want violence.
And all like the pro-gun stuff that, America is obsessed with.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that and all other kinds of violence as well as just being kind of angry and just venting that anger verbally or in any other way. I think you could look at that as a kind of craving as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then would anger be a sensual?
Yeah,
Craving,
kind of a addiction, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because anger is a form of aversion. It's like where you're trying to push something away from you, and you can absolutely get obsessed with that, for sure.
It activates those brain chemicals.
Yes.
Adrenaline and
Yeah,
stuff.
that people
Cortisol.
that it's easy to get addicted to.
Yeah, and it's not addictive in the same way that heroin is, but when you do something over and over again and it becomes a habit, as we're going to see in the next few chains here, it becomes a part of who you are, and that's what this is trying to break down so we can kind of avoid it. Mm-hmm. Now, the last two that are on the list of types of craving for Buddhism is existence and non-existence. So existence is kind of obvious. Of course, we crave living, and we don't want to die, and there are stories of very, very wealthy people who are going to great lengths to try to extend their lives. Or
Walt Disney's cryogenically frozen head.
yes, all kinds, and that is still going on very, very much. But I think non-existence is a little tricky for us. So in the ancient Buddhist sense, I think what it was talking about is wanting to go to nirvana and be free from your corporal existence and just transcend this world. And that could be kind of craving as well. But I think for us, really craving for non-existence kind of gets into, some of the real negative emotional and mental illnesses like depression and suicide. And so, craving to not exist could be a really scary, painful thing, right? Do you guys know people that have felt that way or have gone through stuff like that? I think we all have.
Almost everyone I know.
Yeah.
Same here.
So, we haven't talked a lot about suicide, and we don't need to go into it deeply, but I feel like it's worth touching upon. What makes people feel that way? So hopeless. Where does it come from?
Life is painful, and the society we live on feeds upon giving us these ideals of being productive or like certain types of people. And when we fail to fit that mold and continuously fail to fit that mold, despite giving what to us is our best efforts, it can be so demoralizing that it's just like, well, if I can't, then maybe I just should stop.
Yeah, we're not very generous with compassion in this country, it seems sometimes. And it often seems that the only solution to any of our problems is you just need to work harder and power through. It's this kind of stoicism that's part of American culture.
To pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yep,
I
exactly.
think, too, feeling disconnected
Yes.
from the world, from each other. And that's what Buddhism tries to help us attain, is that interconnectedness, having that understanding. And so I think that can definitely bring a person to a place of feeling like it doesn't matter if I'm around or not. Who's going to notice?
So in Buddhism, it's one of the three seals of you're not separate. And, suicide often comes from, not just hopelessness, but also isolation, a deep, deep sense of isolation.
Yes.
A lot of examples of suicidal tendencies and like where they come from that I've seen and I've witnessed is a lot of just having no control over your life. And
Yes.
you know, a lot of people were born into really unfortunate situations and not really having any control over the cards that they were dealt and not being able to get out of that situation, or it being extremely hard to get out of that situation to the point where it's like, why would you even try to do so if it's so hard and, you know, nearly impossible, or it feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the only way out.
Yeah, because you're left with no avenues.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even though it's a very, very difficult thing to talk about, it still is something that you can, you know, in a moment of thought, when you hit a point, even if you're not feeling suicidal, if you're feeling like, you know, what's the point of this? And I hit that point, you know, on a regular basis sometimes, you know, and just have to kind of understand and catch that moment and go, you know, I'm clinging to this desire to want out of whatever it is that I'm stuck in, you know, and that's a dark place. And so once you realize that, you can try to shift that around. All right, so out of craving comes clinging. And so clinging is like an action. It could be mental action, it could be physical action. But so you've got the craving, and now you're either going to reach out to get it or you're going to push away. Either way, the obsession has now become behavior. And so it could be physical, it could be verbal, it could be mental. And so, you know, usually when you think about clinginess, you think about relationships and how they can get really dysfunctional. So let's talk about
Yay!
So let's have clingy relationship talk. You guys ready? Give me examples.
One of my first serious relationships, I broke things off with him, and he like begged and begged and begged me not to do it, and then begged to stay over one last night, and then when I said no,
Heartbreaker.
and it was just like he like just physically clung on to me, and I was just like, okay, this is a bit much. And then he like would text my friends weeks after being like, have they moved on, have they moved on, have they moved on? I'm just like, hey, this is a lot.
I see this a lot in high school. I mean, just people not taking breakups seriously.
He had graduated.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
People don't grow up. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, I've definitely had girlfriends that I just had to say, you need to leave right now. You need to leave.
Yeah, you need to go.
Oh man, and I had a girlfriend that I could not. She wouldn't let me get off the phone. Like she just could not say goodbye. And so we would have these really long phone conversations that would have these insane silences in them because she wouldn't let me get off the phone. I got fired from a job because she couldn't, you know, I said, hey, I've got to go to work now. And she had more stuff to say. And I showed up like 15 minutes late and was fired from that job. And it was and it wasn't a good affectionate clinginess. It was more this I need you emotionally because without you being there, I'm going to go insane. And it was really not good. Yeah, I mean, we talk about anxious attachment style. That's a really good example of that. You know, no children like that. Karin, do you have any clingy stories?
Well, I want to go to the antithesis.
Oh yes, okay. So we were talking about this before, where you know, what's the purpose of being aware of all these ways that the human mind can go wrong? Well, because you know, if you know that it's wrong, then there's also a part of you that knows how to do it right, and so that's where the antithesis comes in. So, do you have antithesis talk?
A healthy relationship will allow both parties to maintain their autonomy and their agency.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
And short of that, it's clinging.
Yeah, and we talk about having boundaries. Clinginess gets through those boundaries, and there's this kind of lack of awareness going on. It's like you're messing with another person and not noticing that that's what's going on because you're putting your needs so far up front that you don't even notice that you're messing with them. And yes,
We can be well-intentioned.
sure.
Because we've kind of been conditioned to be people pleasers.
Yeah.
And so boundaries, what are those? And or we feel guilty saying no. And so
Yeah, I agree. And so, we just try to hold on and we forget, the seal of impermanence that nothing is ever going to stay the same. And that includes relationships and that includes jobs. I certainly have tried to cling on to jobs. And when you have to let go and move on, it's really, really hard because there's all that emotional attachment there that's really preventing you from doing so. And so this brings us to the next chain, which is called existence. And so don't forget, clinging, a form of clinging is also, hating somebody and wanting to push them away or hating something and wanting to get rid of it. That's attachment too. Now, existence here is where a moment of thought, a state of mind kind of comes into being. But all the stuff we were talking about sort of, almost solidifies into this moment of thought. And this moment kind of it comes out of this sense of separation that I am me and I'm separate from the rest of you and I want what I want when I want it. And that kind of becomes this obsession from longing. I need this thing. I can't stop thinking about this thing or this person. Or rejection. I can't believe that stupid person was elected president, and I cannot believe how this country is going downhill. And it becomes this thought loop that just repeats itself over and over and over again. And have you guys hit that at some point where you just can't stop thinking about something?
Oh, thought loops are what cause my anxiety or panic attacks. That's the active.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I'll get stuck in really, really bad thought loops. So I can't physically to the point where it paralyzes me pretty much from doing anything, both mentally and physically. And so then I just start crying and holding my breath so bad that I get lightheaded.
Yeah. I get that way as well. I had a panic attack during Lotus Sutra. One time, because, Buddhists, they can't stop talking about death and they just talk about it all the time. And I was really getting triggered by it and they just wouldn't shut up talking about how we need to let go. And, and it's like, stop talking about death. It's really triggering me. So I had to literally mute because it was a Zoom class. I had to mute it, and I just had to kind of curl up in the corner and just hyperventilate for a while. And I'm still kind of mad.
Just like Frankie.
Yes, I know. I felt like a dog. That's exactly what I felt like.
You should have let Frankie in with
Clingy,
you.
stupid dog. Yeah, you're right.
Then you would have related to her and how she feels all the time.
Right. So existence is where all of the stuff we've been talking about, the baggage from the past, these mental habits, they start to dominate us. And they accumulate energy, they get stored in us, and they don't go away very easily. They don't shift. And they stick with us and they get into loops. And it's awareness that allows us to kind of get unstuck. All right. And so how do you do that? When you catch yourself getting, stuck in little loops of negative thoughts, how do you get out of it?
Distraction.
So give me an example of how you distract yourself.
I focus on another task.
Okay.
I do something that will so one time what I did was my mom had me just wash my face.
Okay.
And the feeling of the cold water shock me out of it. Or I would do that, or I would find something that is very grounding. So like a cold shower will just shock my system.
That's
and I'm
a
just
great idea.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We're balling now.
Yeah. And it's just you did the little ball and symbol. That was really cool. That was great. So, Karin, what is your anti-rumination strategy?
Oh, boy.
I mean, you do art, right?
Art
Yeah.
is really good to express whatever it is, any motion on the spectrum. But I find it so interesting if it's human nature. You know, I understand how one would naturally cling to sweet stuff or, you know, what feel good stuff, anything.
Yeah.
But I know that in the past, if I feel violated or actually have been violated by someone that, especially someone you care about, that one I have a hard time letting go of.
Betrayal is really deep. Yeah. And I've certainly gone through that.
That one can get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And it's stored in your heart too. You know, I think they've determined we have brain cells in our heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same kind of something neuron going on there. But letting go of negativity is equally as hard of, you know, like if there's something really good in your life, it's like you don't want to let go of that. You want to keep it around as long as you can. So I get that. But I'm always stumped at how my brain can kind of get fixed on something in the past that was negative and, you know, just letting go of that. So, yes, meditation, art, and just being around support, goodness, people that are kind and, you know, kind of counteract it.
And I like the way you kind of phrase all that, because it's not where you're just sort of distracting yourself just, you know, just to kind of get your mind off of it. It's more like you're taking whatever the negativity is and then working through it to another state. And I think that is a really good strategy as well.
Yeah, transcending and transmuting it.
Yeah. And on all of these
Alchemy.
mindfulness, exactly, alchemy, transmuting. So, yes.
Something that I kind of get stuck on when it comes to the past is embarrassment. Really
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Or
I
just
remember
like
those days,
cringing.
yeah.
It will just like replay in my mind over and over and over again. And it'll just make me want to sit down and just not do anything because it's just like, ugh, why did I do that? I want to curl up in a ball and die.
I mean, yes, that's literally a form of PTSD. It's just social PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, and it can
Like
be...
I'm getting ready for bed. I'm all curled up, and then my brain is just like, remember this thing you did so many years ago that you forgot until I told you happened? And I'm like, why?
I will say this, that does get better as you get older.
Good.
I used to be really bad about that, just replaying every stupid thing I ever said or did over and over again. And, you know, as you get confidence and more life experience, it's not as bad. But it can be debilitating. So all of these things are leading up to the thing that you really want to avoid, because now we're going to get into birth, old age, and death. And so when it comes to a moment of thought, birth means here that those habits of thought, that existence, that those ruminating loops, they don't just characterize your state of mind, they become who you are. And I'm sure you've known people that they just kind of get stuck. It's not just that a thought gets stuck, it's like it becomes kind of ingrained in their whole personality and their outlook on life. And often in some really negative ways. Can you think of examples of that?
I've definitely seen friends get like kind of stuck on like kind of ideas of things they're supposed to do, or like visions of themselves or things like that. And it's like logically, as an outsider, I can be like, that's not real. What you've put on yourself, these like parameters you've given yourself that you're falling short of and like upsetting yourself over, that's not happening, kind of.
Yeah, and I see that with a lot of young people too.
And it's
Yeah.
hard to but you can't tell them that, you know?
Not at that moment, no. And that's part of skillful means is like knowing when to shut up and let them be crazy until the moment's right.
It's like I as an outsider can only give you like small bits of advice because I'm like, you are going to hit a wall and you are going to hate yourself for it.
Yeah, it's hard to watch sometimes. I was thinking about, I was a dad of one of your friends. Won't name names, but had to be caretaker of his mom who was suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. And I saw him just turn from this really kind of happy-go-lucky, house husband to this really exhausted, bitter, negative person. And it just sort of became who he was, and he could not put his mom into a home because of the guilt that he felt, and it literally consumed his soul. There's really no other way to put it. I hope he's okay now, but at that time, it was a real shift from who he was before to what he became. And I certainly have gone through my periods of bitterness. When I've undergone loss or when I feel overwhelmed for long periods of time, and it starts to, it really shifts your whole outlook, and I feel like, oh man, I'm not the happy, enthusiastic, optimistic guy I want to be. And now I'm letting every little thing get to me, and you've got to watch out for that. That can be negative for yourself and for the people around you. So that's what birth is. You see it the other way, like somebody, kind of makes it big, and they have, now they have lots of money and they can afford all this stuff, and then it shifts them into these very kind of greedy people that, tend to lord it over others. And that's what you're trying to avoid, is having, these negative thoughts and negative experiences solidify into becoming who you are. Because once that happens, it's really hard to change. But if you're aware of this whole process, you can step in at any one of these moments and try to shift your mindset around before it's too late. And so that's what old age and death really kind of talk about. So here, old age and death are really you becoming aware of the source of your own suffering, that your solidified personality is really creating problems for you and the people around you over and over again. And so it's from
You gotta liquefy your personality.
I like that. This should be a song, actually. That's good. Liquefy. So
Sounds like a jingle for
it
a
does
product.
liquefy your personality. That sounds. I'm sure there's a service for that.
We can get you a custom-made protein drink based on your personality and workout routine.
It's so true.
Liquefying a personality, I don't know why, my mind immediately goes to lobotomy.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
your
that would
brain is more
literally-
solid than you think.
Yeah.
Right. So I see it as because, you want to de-solidify it. So that's liquefying. I get it.
Just melt your brain.
You want it to flow. And I think once you start realizing that things are basically impermanent, then that means whatever negative state of mind you're in is also impermanent. Correct?
I have to hold myself back from now stating all my lobotomy facts now.
You're gripping the table right now.
All right, so let's talk about this, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. So through awareness of all of these processes that we went through in the 12-link chain, you can become aware of how these habits form, where these habits form, and how to break them. And so really what this is teaching you is a way to reprogram your own mental conditioning.
By embracing impermanence?
Yes, and by cultivating awareness so that you catch yourself before you start to really make these things solid, and realizing that they're creating suffering for you and the people that you care about. Questions?
Comments? Concerns?
All right, so
When I am
yes,
feeling
go ahead.
overwhelmed and defeated, for any number of reasons. Let's say fascism.
Yeah.
It's like, I going back to impermanence, it's like, it won't always be this way.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you're in the middle of it. It's really, really hard, and I feel bad for young people today, because you're just sort of getting political and economic awareness when things are really not going very well around you, and it can really seem like it's going to be this way forever, and there's really no hope for it.
And I mean, I know that every generation kind of always thinks that they're like the generation who has it the worst, and they get really bitter with the people who came before them. It's just like, what? You were in charge of this, and we're inheriting this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Sorry. Should I redo that?
Bleep it.
It gets really easy to become defeatist.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, and it's hard at my age to not be defeatist.
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't suck now, because like where we're at currently at the time of recording, it does suck really bad. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're gonna live.
Yes.
Things like this have happened before.
Yes.
Maybe at different scales, but they've happened before, and we as a society have continued to survive, because on some level I have to believe that like love and care and respect for one another are more powerful on a base level than fear-mongering and warmongering.
And Buddhism says exactly that. In fact, Buddhism is going to say that love, compassion, and peace are inevitable. They will happen. Maybe not in our lifetimes, but they will happen, and we are making progress all along the way.
I have to keep fighting for that Star Trek future I want.
It's so true. United Federation of the Planets, here we come.
We just need the Irish unification.
All right, so let's end with another Nuano quote. You get to read this one.
Gotcha. All right.
Is it that last paragraph
Path to
there?
liberation.
Yeah, Path to Liberation.
Okay. Ignorance in the context of Buddhism creates repetition of a cycle of physical birth and death. We can break this cycle by attaining enlightenment and knowing universal truth. To ignore this teaching creates suffering, our basic human nature. To follow this teaching leads us to nirvana. If only we can rid ourselves of this ignorance and recognize the truth, our actions will also be correct. Each new mental act will correspond to the truth, and the friction and obstructions will disappear. Suffering will fade from our minds, and we will be able to achieve peace of mind. This is the conclusion to which this teaching draws us. And that's all for today. Thank you all for listening to the Bloomin Bodhisattva podcast, brought to you by the Rissho Kosei-kai Dharma Center in Oklahoma City. And stay tuned for the next episode when we will talk about
the 10 suchnesses.
Until then, our fellow bodhisattvas,
Keep on blooming!